Years after the last installment, the Red Faction series returns with Red Faction Guerilla. Not only does the action actually take place on Mars, but environmental destruction is once again front and center, with a game that promises fully destructible structures. But does the experience stand tall or fall apart itself? Upon arriving on Mars as a demolitions expert, you are introduced to the EDF and Red Faction. The Earth Defense Force has decided that the best way to manage Mars is to be tyrannical about it and hope it'll work. But it doesn't. They kill your brother for alleged ties to the Red Faction, and you decide to make them pay. Apart from having a few cutscenes, the story only reminds you of its existence through radio chatter. Not having to worry too much about your set goals is nice, but Red Faction Guerilla goes too far by rarely giving you any context. And the late game twist about a new faction feels both inconsequential and contrived. It's also hard to care about anyone in any way when all the miners seem to do is stand around with their thumbs up their asses. In fact, it's a miracle they aren't outright running while screaming naked towards the EDF, though that would have actually been useful as a distraction. The EDF themselves are more akin to cartoon villains than anything else, and all these combined make for a somehow worse narrative experience than even the second game. And for a supposedly terraformed world, there is literally no vegetation to speak of, rendering any credibility moot. Luckily, smashing things up is the name of the game, though the mission structure is distinct. Primary missions only become unlocked after you've completed a few side missions, which consist of everything from the demolition of EDF structures, to turret sections, to all-out assaults. The more of these you complete, the less control the EDF has on a sector, and eventually you'll be able to unlock a primary mission that frees an area from EDF control, making it less dangerous for you to travel in. When things are quiet, you can also click on a Red Faction base and materialize there, making for convenient fast travel. Morale is also important. The more damage you do, the more people will start helping you when things get hot, but their usefulness is debatable, especially since EDF soldiers wear full body armor and your buddies don't. Unfortunately, Red Faction Guerilla is outright punishing. Destroying a building is less a matter of elaborate demolition and more one of desperately scrambling to do it quickly enough so as not to get overwhelmed by EDF forces. The second you show destructive tendencies toward a building is the second a legion of troops starts heading your way, which wouldn't be a problem, but even with the highest upgrades you'll only have enough health and armor for a few hits, and enough ammo to take out a dozen or so soldiers. Weapon crates are rarely there for you when you most need them, which means you'll have to get by with what you have on yourself at that moment. The paltry amount of salvage you receive doesn't help either. You can literally take down a few imposing buildings and still be unable to purchase body armor out of it. The game's secondary missions and challenges are the cherry on top, as not only are they brutal themselves, but to receive all the salvage they offer, you must complete them in less time or with fewer resources. These pro requirements definitely live up to their name, as you could swear that only someone like John Fatality Wendell or a Korean would find these reasonable. As a result, don't be surprised if you only manage to unlock half of all the upgrades, at best. For those inclined, there's also multiplayer via Steamworks, with the more popular modes being Team Deathmatch and Demolition. It's good fun, and if nothing else, it increases the game's longevity, as the destruction adds a unique twist to the otherwise predictable offerings. Graphically, Red Faction Guerilla is nothing all that impressive. The atmosphere is spot on, as Mars feels desolate and unwelcoming. And models look okay, and are even lip-synced in-game, but the lack of any kind of environmental variety makes the brown world uninteresting to look at. The physics, however, shine through. Buildings are made up out of dozens of segments and break rather satisfyingly, though you'll definitely notice when a building crumbles, as the frame rate can hit the single digits when hell breaks loose. Sound is slightly better, as the crunching sound your hammer makes when unleashed is absolute bliss, though other weapons sound good as well. In keeping with series tradition, the soundtrack is both highly atmospheric and memorable, but like the second game, The writing is terrible and the voice acting is merely decent. Red Faction Guerilla has the makings of an extraordinary experience, but the punishing difficulty and terrible story drag it down considerably. The Red Faction series has gone exclusively downhill since the first one. Let's hope the next game doesn't continue the trend.